Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today I'm going to go through my end of year call out with you guys. If you weren't here at the end of the year last year, I came up with this idea to essentially give myself a little bit of grief at the end of every year and call out some books that I absolutely should have gotten to this year and just didn't. So all of these books I'm very excited to get to. I am bummed that I didn't get to them this year, and yeah, so it's just a little bit of accountability for me to be able to tell you some books that I really should have gotten to and that I plan to in the near future. I did want to start by calling myself out twice, I guess, because I did go back and re-listen to the original end of year call out video that I did, and there were some books on that list that I still have not gotten to, and some of them, a lot of them, I am still interested in, but maybe they're not like front of mind at this point in time. But I do have several, I'm gonna name 5 from that video that I did talk about that I desperately want to read, and for some reason in 2025 I just didn't get to them. The first one I have talked about on several videos, and that is The Fury of the Gods. So this book is a finale. It's the end of the Bloodsworn saga, and it is a book that I attempted to read at the end of 2024. I started reading this in December of 2024, and you can even see my bookmark is still in there, and I just stopped reading it. I wasn't not enjoying it. I actually picked it up for Bucket Listathon. It was going to be one of my finished series for the year, and I just didn't ever get back to it, and I still haven't. I did get to Ruin from Faithful and the Fallen, which is a series by John Gwynne. So I did get to a John Gwynne this year, just not that one. So that one is still on my list. I do have a couple others that I will just mention from that video that I still haven't gotten to. Best Served Cold. I really want to get back into Joe Abercrombie because I liked the First Law trilogy, but unfortunately the Joe Abercrombie I tried this year was The.Dabbles, which just didn't work for me. So I'm hoping to get back to the universe or the world that I really did enjoy. So hopefully Best Served Cold will help me with that. House of Frank is another one that I didn't get to last year and in 2025 that I still really would like to, and I know the reason that I haven't gotten to this is because there's not an audiobook for it. And so if I have to physically read a book, it's something that I have to plan. I do actually have something in mind for my goals video for 2026 that will help me get to books like this, because I really do still want to get to this one, but I know that that's the reason I haven't picked it up. Same reason for The Ember Blade, which is by Chris Whitting. He's an author that I've just really wanted to try. The Ember Blade I own on Kindle. I don't know if there is an audiobook for it. I haven't looked since I first purchased this on Kindle, but there definitely wasn't when I first was looking at it. This is supposed to be kind of similar to The Lord of the Rings, but you know, a modern take on it. So I am really interested. Just haven't gotten to it yet. And then another one that also doesn't have an audiobook. Are you seeing a trend? You will see trends in the other books I'll mention in this video as well, but The Girl in the Bog is another one that I started reading in October of 2024, never got back to it, and I didn't pick it up this year. So I'm not doing too great with this end of year call outs. I did have 19 books on that video, and I think I didn't get to 7 of them. So I read the majority of the ones that I did call out, and some of them I just don't have any interest in anymore. But yeah, so hopefully as I continue to do these at the end of the year, I'll get better at them being an accountability video for me. Maybe you guys can help me with that. On that video from last year, I did have some categories of books that I was looking at to try and figure out which stories was I really disappointed in not getting to in that year. And some of those categories have remained the same. For instance, the 25 and 2025 list that I created, some of these books did come from that list. I also had my anticipated releases videos that I looked at. I looked at series, I looked at physical TBR books. So those are all things that I also looked at last year that I'm keeping the same. The one that I kind of added on was my 2025 purchases and pre-orders. So I started tracking the amount of books that I purchased this year, as well as how many I've read, how many I, read prior to purchasing and read after purchasing, and which ones I still have not read. And there are definitely some of those that you'll see on this list of things that I didn't get to. We will start with the one that hits a lot of those categories, and that is Engines of War. I am really bummed that I didn't get to this book this year. This is the finale for the Age of Uprising. Sorry, there is cat hair on the edge of my book. I think Andy has been laying in my book pile. Age of Empire, Age of Uprising is a very, very fun series that I have enjoyed, and I'm kind of mad at myself for not picking this up. I was going to physically read this. This is another one that doesn't have an audiobook, and so I do have to read it physically. And because it's so chunky, I just really need to set aside some time. I am reading currently The Strength of the Few, which is a very chunky book. I do have the audio for Strength of the Few, so I am immersively reading that, but I didn't want to read both of those books, so this book and The Strength of the Few at the same time, because I just thought they would kind of take away from each other, and I really love both series. So this one is going to have to wait for 2026, unfortunately. If you haven't ever heard of The Age of Uprising, the first book in the series is called Engines of Empire, and you are following a noble family, 5 members of that noble family who are dispersed throughout this kingdom. And the kingdom has a whole bunch of different politics going on. They have neighboring kingdoms that they're not necessarily on good terms with. You also have some inner turmoil within the kingdom itself that some of our characters deal with, and I just really enjoyed it. I thought following each of the individual characters was very interesting because you get different perspectives as far as the different placements that they are in the kingdom, what they're dealing with within that city, and I really liked it. I liked the writing style. It was almost like nostalgic fantasy for me, but also kind of in a new way. I don't know how to describe it, but I really do want to get to Engines of War in 2026. Another one that I did purchase this year and was an anticipated release of this year, and that is Guard in the Garden. I know I'm going to love this. It's a cozy book featuring a dwarf who is in wartime at the very beginning of this book, ends up getting injured, and has to stop being a soldier in the sense of he has to spend some time healing. And so you get to live with his journey in having to let some of those things go and how to figure out how to live his new life. I just know I'm going to love it. This is another one that doesn't have an audiobook. And so I know that that's why I haven't gotten to it, but it's really not that long. And I just need to cuddle up with this a couple of nights, and I know I will just fly through it because I have a feeling that it's going to be one of my favorite books whenever I get to it. Another book that you guys have heard me talk about a lot that I probably will not get to, but I do have an opportunity to. So this one might actually be a win for me this year, but we'll see. That's Ancillary Justice. I've talked about this on several different videos because this is the book that won't be read. I have picked up this book now 3 times, and each of the 3 times I've gotten to the same point and had to stop reading for various reasons, life things going on, my library hold got taken away from me, things like that. And I have really enjoyed all of the 3 times I've read it, but I just can't seem to get through it. And it is currently sitting on my Libby shelf, and so I can pick it up. I have it for 10 more days, and I desperately want to get to it because I just think I'm gonna love it. If you haven't heard of Ancillary Justice, I do think that there's a new book for this universe coming out. It's a standalone, but it's coming out in 2026. I don't remember what the name of it is, but this book is part of a series, and you are following a main character whose name is Breck, I believe, and you follow her in 2 different timelines. One of them is way in the past when she was a piece of a larger AI system, kind of a spaceship that has a whole bunch of ancillary bodies that can travel in various locations and communicate back to the larger ship. And then you follow in the future where every single ancillary and the starship have been destroyed with the exception of one, and that is Breck. And you're following her personality, her body, trying to navigate some circumstances that she is now in. And I just think it's a very interesting concept. I don't quite know what the point of it is yet. They are dealing with the Ratch, seems like a conquering society that has come, and that's who has created ancillaries. So Breck comes from this conquering society, and I don't know if in the future timeline, because I haven't gotten far enough, if she's trying to bring them down or if she's just trying to hide from them. I'm not exactly sure, but I am desperate to find out. So fingers crossed I get this done in 2025, but if not, 2026 for sure. My last physical TBR book that I will tell you guys about is one that I found at a half-price bookstore, and it's one by an author that I have just absolutely loved, and I think that it might end up being my favorite book of the year in whatever year that I happen to pick it up, and that's Talonsister. I've heard amazing things about this duology, and it's by Jen Williams, who wrote The Ninth Reign, and I am desperate to pick it up. I don't know anything else about it other than I know the author. I've heard a lot of booktubers that I really enjoy and that have similar tastes to have enjoyed it, but also I have some subscribers who've read it who really enjoyed the series as well. So I'm ecstatic to get to this. I was really happy that I found this at a half-price bookstore, and I want to read this one before purchasing the second one because I have, you know, been bit by purchasing series all at once. But I have a feeling about this one. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but 2026 feels like it's going to be the year. The next book is an anticipated release that I am really bummed that I'm not going to get to this year, but as of recording this, it is December 21st, and I still have to read The Strength of the Few, which I'm halfway through, but it's chunky, so it's going to take me some time. I want to get to Ancillary Justice. I also plan on reading The Merge before the end of the year. I just don't feel like it's the time to sit down and read Slayers of Old. I do really want to get to this one though, so it's not going to be forgotten. This is supposed to be the Golden Girls meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I don't need to know anything more. I think that sounds absolutely amazing. I love the cover. I did find out this month after I put it on my 10 before the end that I don't have an audiobook for this. Told you guys it was a theme. And I just didn't have time this month for a purely physical read. I have to have some form of audio just because of how much movement I have right now with the holidays and with work. I am not going to have time to sit and read a physical book right now. So this one is going to have to wait until 2026, but I think it is just going to be a roaring good time. I love an elderly protagonist, and when we're talking about vampire slayers as well, I think it's going to be great. The next one is a book that was recommended to me, and I do have both the ebook and the audiobook. I just haven't gotten to it. One of those reasons is I don't think that it's front of mind, and it's not, you know, something that I can physically see. It's not something I have on Libby either, because I did purchase the audiobook outright and the ebook outright, but I read Kindle books very slowly, as you guys know. This is called Kitty Cat Kills Sat, which I think sounds absolutely lovely. It's about a cat who somehow travels in outer space and is of a greater intellect than we would think of like a normal cat, and they interact with an AI of sorts. I don't really know exactly the rest of like what purpose they have for each other, if there is a purpose, if it's just for them to kind of connect and talk with one another and kind of have a friend. I think that was part of it, was that the cat is rather lonely and the AI is rather lonely, and so they become friends with one another. I just think it sounds lovely, and I am really bummed that I didn't get to it. But I do think that it's going to be one of my favorites of next year, so maybe it's a good thing that it's waiting for a new year so it can be at the top of the list from the very start. Next, I have a couple of series continuations that I am really mad at myself for not getting to. The first one, I even reread the first book in the series this year so I could get to the sequel, and I still haven't picked it up, and that's the sequel to The Hexologists. It's called A Tangle of Time. I haven't gotten to this yet. I'm sure that with this being a fantasy mystery, I'm not exactly sure or 100% if the storyline is a through line or if it would be completely fine to not read book one and go into book two. I've already read book one twice, but if I don't remember some of the details, I don't know how detrimental that will be to the second book. If you haven't heard of The Hexologist and you like fantasy mysteries, you should definitely check it out. It's very lighthearted. I love the characters. Iz and War are a husband and wife character set, and they are both hexologists that help their community with various supernatural things. And I really like the establishedness of them, the fact that they are very much opposites, but also very much rely on one another throughout all of the trials that they go through within the book. They have the Crown reach out to them for help in finding a missing artifact, and Iz is very much against working with the Crown for reasons that you find out throughout the story. And so you have to deal with the political dynamics of that as well. I think this is very fun. It's very fast-paced, which is different than the other Josiah Bancroft series that I read, which was Sinless Sins, the Books of Babel. I really enjoyed that series, and I think that it's great. I think that this series, The Hexologist, has a wider reach. I think more people will enjoy this because it is lighter, it is much more fast-paced, and I think that the characters are more likable. Even though I do really enjoy some of the characters that happen in Sinless Sins, I do think that this one's probably more palatable, if that makes sense. I just think more people are going to enjoy this. I think it's fun. The last series that I will mention here is one that I am so upset at myself for not getting to because it is the last book in a series, so it could have been another book on my completed series checklist that I had for 2025, but that's okay. It'll have to be for 2026, and that is First Lord's Fury. This is the last book in the Furies of Calderon series. I can't remember if that's actually the series title, but it is by Jim Butcher, and I've dearly loved all of the characters and the world that's created in this. It's just a lot of fun, and I am both scared and desperate to find out what happens in this final story. If you haven't heard of The Furies of Calderon, which is the first book, you're following a main character whose name is Tavi, and he is living in a world where being someone who can communicate and work with elemental spirits is normal. They're called Furies in this book, but they're essentially elementals. You deal with ones who have deal with fire and water and stones and things like that. And so he has grown up his entire life, though, in a community where this is normal, and he does not have this ability. And so he's been at kind of a disadvantage and has separated himself from society and from his classmates because he is a younger boy. I think he's in his preteens, if I remember correctly, when the series first starts, and you get to watch him grow up throughout the series in this world that is war-torn, and there are some kingdom politics, some like backstabbing going on, people trying to take over nations, and I really like it. I love the cast of characters. He's the main character, but you have a good set of 5 or 6 other characters that you follow throughout the series and get to see their progression, which side they choose, the people they love, the relationships they form throughout the book, and I want to get back to it, and I do need to purchase these for my collection because I want to reread them eventually. Lastly, I have a couple of sci-fis that I just wanted to throw out there. One that is a newer release and one that has been on my TBR for a very long time. We'll start with that one because that one's a little bit more embarrassing than the last one, so we'll stop on a good note. But I think that I am just dearly going to love Remnant Population. It's a book that's been recommended to me multiple times. This author has been recommended to me multiple times. And this follows an elderly character who is on a planet that has been terraformed for humans to live in, but for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why, their society is moving planets, and she has decided to stay. She does not want to move. She is old enough that she wants to live out the rest of her days on the place that she has lived for however many years of her life. It's been a long time since she's lived there, and she's going to stay by herself. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know if you're going to have her talking to herself in kind of monologue form, if there's going to be someone who stays with her. I'm not exactly sure, but I love an elderly protagonist, as I've said before in this video. And I also just really like this premise. I enjoy whenever we can dig into the reasons for someone calling someplace home, and then also maybe dig into the reasons for living and some things that you enjoy and what you want to surround yourself with in your last days. I just think it's going to be lovely, and I'm mad at myself for not getting to it. This is another one that doesn't have an audiobook. The last book that I will mention to you is one that I am chomping at the bit to get to, and I just didn't have time. It's a new release, so it did come out within the past couple of months. It's by an author that I have enjoyed recently with Infinity Gate, and I want to get back to that series as well, but M.R. Carey has written another book. It's called Outlaw Planet, and it's supposed to be kind of a spacey Western, which I really liked the pairing of sci-fi with Westerns in The Road to Roswell, which is a rom-com, so it's definitely kind of a different dynamic as this, because for this one, I think we're following a literal outlaw, but I still am really interested. I think that this also, if I remember correctly, has some type of talking gun in it, or a gun that has some type of a soul. I'm not exactly sure. I kind of want to go in a little bit blind, but I do remember that vaguely from reading the synopsis. And I did have an opportunity to read this in December. It came in, I was one of the first people to put it on hold at my library, and it did come really quickly, and I just didn't have time to get to it. So I had to suspend my hold, and I figured instead of rushing through it because of some of the other books that I want to get to in the month of December, I would just wait until 2026 to get to it. But I'm kind of mad because every time I think about it, it just kind of makes me giddy. I feel like it's going to be such a fun book, and I want to read it now. So those are the books that I am mad at myself for not getting to in 2026. I am hoping, fingers crossed, that I will do better this year with reading the books that I've put on this list. I did put less books than I did last year. I only had 15 that I've talked to you about today, and last year I had 19. So I'm hoping that, you know, by lessening the amount, also talking about some books that I am really excited to get to, and some of my goals that I will talk about in a future video will help me get through some of these. But let me know if you guys have any books that you are just really upset with yourself for not getting to in 2025. We have time. We'll get to them in 2026, but I would like to know and pick your brain if you guys do think about this, books that you think that you've missed your opportunity to read and that you're, you know, just desperate to get to them in the year to come. If you aren't feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you're here, leave me a little flower emoji for Guard in the Garden. We can create a little garden in the comments so I know that you guys are with me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.